repetitive or not, but we were talking about seed time and harvest, and talking about basically like, so as long as there's going to be any kind of as long as the shot or the bow is in the cloud, right? As long as the oath or the token is there, we can always be promised that there's going to be seed time and harvest. I don't remember exactly where we left off, but we left off somewhere around there, right? So basically, if we're going to talk about the same thing, that there's going to always be seed time and harvest, and we're talking about, therefore, we always have to look for what we're harvesting, right? Or what basically, if we're talking about harvest, then we have to ask ourselves what happened with seed time, right? What happened with the seed, So where did we plant it? What did we invest it in? How much time are we investing in different things of that nature, right? So if that's where we're coming from, ultimately, if that's the beginning of what we're dealing with, right? If that's what we're dealing with and talking about at first, then that's kind of like, what we have to really consider, like what do we invest in our time, talent, effort, energy, all that stuff into. So if we're looking at seed time, harvest, etc., we have to ask ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, where is the time, where's the energy, where is the finance, the resource, etc., where is it being invested? What is it being invested into? Right? So what is it being invested into is really the question that we have to ask ourselves. And whatever is being invested into is what we're harvesting, getting out of the ground. I believe we're somewhat finishing up with talking about how you have to be careful what's already in the ground, right? Because sometimes what happens is we're planting seed in ground that's poison. I believe that's where we're at, right? So sometimes we have to be aware of where we're planting, right? What was already there. Is there already some craziness going on? Is there already some foolishness going on? Is there already something that is anti what Yahweh's will is? And what are we sowing into? And I think we had even talked about that club example, right? Where prayerfully I was obedient to the Holy Ghost, I believe I was, where we talked about that persons will go to the club and then they'll say, okay, I went here and I was so devastated that somebody would pursue me in such a lascivious and lustful manner, if you will, right? And they'll say, I don't understand where all this came from. And it's like, well, you went to a place where persons are to be pursued in a lascivious and lustful manner. So your surprise is actually very astounding, because why would you go to a place to where that's kind of the mandate? That's literally what persons are looking forward to and looking towards is going to a place where we would sin. And therefore, to say that I came somewhere looking for something not of sin, not saying that, of course, it can't happen to where you meet somebody at the club. Not saying that, of course, it really not saying that you can't ever, right? But we're saying if we're really looking at it, something being Yahweh's will, then why would I look, right, for a place that I know that they don't really do His will at or in? So why would I look for those things? If you're right, like why would I look at those things? Why would I look to see if that is in fact, like why would I go to a place, for example, and I'm not trying to say the club is in the same line, just giving an extreme example, if you will. Why would I go to a place where I know that there's prostitution and to be upset when somebody says, hey baby, looking for a good time? Like that doesn't make sense. But we have a lot of persons who will kind of do that. You said the fruit doesn't lie. We have to accept what is revealed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if I'm going to place and I know that this is where these type of people congregate, now it gets tough and difficult because some of us, because of where we're coming from, we're like, okay, well, the mosque or the church or the synagogue or the temple or the dojo, whatever that I was going to, all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, all this stuff or whatever. So I don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna be moving around a lot, I guess. But long story short, hold on. But long story short, it's very weird, right? To have a mindset that says I'm going to look for something that's different. I'm going to look for, um, I'm going to look for something that is clean, right? When I'm around things that are dirty, I'm going to look for something that's lawful when everything around me is unclean. Ça va? Huh? Oh, from the slide? Oh, okay. All right. Be careful when you go down. You okay though? Kind of, sort of. All right. Well, take your time and recover. We still got a little bit of time. Okay. All right. So, but yeah. So you'll see certain things like that, and we have to realize and think about it and operate in a manner where we go, like where we have to realize and recognize that we're a lot of times sowing. Good morning, we're discovering that in just 15 minutes. Join us for the Music and Me, an interactive music time with resident musician Mr. Seth and singer Miss Jess, happening in the Oasis on the second floor at 11 o'clock. Once again, join us for the Music and Me, an interactive music time happening in the Oasis. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. See you there. Shalom. Just what's up? Okay, good. Good. I see. So we have to be aware of all these different things and these moving parts and pieces. Good. And we have to recognize, what's really going on and how things are moving, how y'all's doing. So are we sowing seed in ground that is clearly like poison or condemned, right? Are we trying to live like non-condemned lives in clearly condemned places, right? Places of condemnation become, if you're not careful, like a place of condemnation can become a place of, how can I say this? A place of condemnation, if you're not careful, can become a place that you're so used to it that you try to make excuses for you sowing out of condemnation, right? If that makes sense. And I'm sorry, I'm right back to the noise. I'm trying to find a sweet spot for us. I can't find it, right? But, places, if we're not careful, that's actually, matter of fact, hold on. I'll find it. I got a question. Salaman. Salaman. Come on. Put it down. Come here real quick. I'm going to get us in a quiet place over here real quick. All right. Give me a second, everybody. Please, let me get Solomon set up with some food here real quick. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying. Let's grab something to snack on.
I just want to make sure they're real. No. How? Bro, how? Baby. Jojo, no. Mommy don't have money for that. No, Mommy don't have money for that, baby. I'm sorry. Mommy don't have money for that. I'm sorry.
You watch this, make sure that you turn it down. Okay. All right. Hopefully we have a little bit of focus and silence over here, y'all. I apologize. I was trying to make it work. It's just too much moving parts. I apologize. Thank you for your patience. I don't know. Trying to be obedient. I didn't think this through. I hope prayerfully this works for those that are able to make it. All right, part 2. Let's go in. So basically, when we're talking about this stuff and we're speaking on what's going on, we're talking about what's going on community-wise and things like that. What are we sowing and what are we harvesting? There can be poisonous things that are going on and things. There can be poisonous things that are going on in our lives. And if we're not careful, we can be sowing into poisonous places and therefore harvesting places that were poisoned before we knew any better, right? And if we're not careful, we're harvesting, right, from places that once again were poisonous. We didn't know that we sowed into poisonous places, but now, after we've had a little bit of experience, boy, oh boy, can we say we sowed into some places and they were quite poisonous, right? So if that's the case, one of the things that we have to think about is that if you've been poisoned, what's one of the things should be done, right? If you ate something and you didn't know any better, right, and it was poison, then what you should do? Think about it. Hello, Brittany. I feel like it's been a long time. No talk to, right? You got to detox, right? This is Jonathan, right? So if you've been poisoned by something, even if you didn't know you were poisoned, once you find out you've been poisoned, there's a detox. That's why we talk about purification all the time. And purification is a process. And now a lot of times what happens with the poison is the only way that you can come out of what you've been poisoned in, right, is to basically, you have to get like let's say you were bitten by a poisonous snake or a venomous snake, right? Because venom and poison are different, right? Venom has to go into your body. Venom can be poured on you, and as long as you don't have an open wound, you're pretty much all right. Poison. Hold on, do I have it wrong? No, venom has to be injected. Sorry, into you, right? But poison, you have to digest, right? Am I saying? Hold on. Now we gotta look it up. Let me look up the difference. I feel like I'm telling y'all the wrong thing. Hold on one second. Let's make sure that we have that right, because that's a whole huge difference, right? Let's see the difference between poison and venom. So poison is different as there. Okay. So the hallmark of venom is that it's introduced via a wound. It can be injected through a number of means, including teeth, a sting, spines, or claws, right? But poison is different as there is no wound involved. Okay. Yeah. So poison is different as in there is no wound involved. So poison digested, but venom is somebody it sticks through you. So technically, even though we would not suggest this, but technically, once again, I'm not suggesting this is for educational purposes only, but technically, I could drink venom and be all right. I know that sounds weird, but technically I could drink venom and be all right? Because venom has to be injected, but poison has to be digested. So technically I could take, even though it doesn't always work, but technically many poisons I could probably even pour on myself, right? And be all right to a certain degree, right? But poison is something what I'm talking about. So if the ground that you're in has been poisoned, right? Or let's just say we're dealing with venom. So let's say you've gotten a venomous bite, a venomous sting, right? Because it's not bee poison, it's bee venom, right? So if you've gotten a venomous sting, you've gotten a venomous bite, whatever the case might be, when you get this stuff, one of the things that you have to do is do what? When you get these items, one of the things that you have to do is you have to go through a process of saying, all right, now that I've been bitten by it or whatever, I have to now ensure what? I have to now ensure that if I get venom, I need to get something called anti-venom, right? So if I'm dealing with venom, I have to now get something called anti-venom, right? Now this is extremely important that I get this anti-venom, and the anti-venom is not actually that far from the venom, right? Matter of fact, if you're bitten by the venomous snake, you have to go back to the same venomous snake to get the antidote, right? So the anti-venom is going to be somebody taking the venom and being able to study it and reverse engineer it in a certain degree, even modify it if you want to use that term, but reverse engineer it enough to where now the thing that bit into you that's taken your life has now become the thing that actually can be injected in you to save you, right? So what do I mean by this specifically? What could we see even in our canon for this? If you were to look at Moses is in the wilderness, children of Israel once again wilding out, and Yahweh allows for snakes to come and begin to bite them, right? And these snakes are in fact venomous, right? So and they hurt a lot, and the snakes are starting to take the lives of the children of Israel. So the children of Israel aren't doing too well, and those who haven't lost their lives are going through a lot. They're frustrated, they're angered, they're frustrated, they're obviously sick, they're losing their lives, they're on their way out. And Moses, being who he is, sees what's going on and he intercedes on behalf of the children of Israel. And in his intercession, or in his interceding, Yah gives him instructions. And the command is, okay, go and build for yourself a golden serpent, right? And that serpent, when you look up, and we're talking about the promise of the rainbow in this series, right? Hold it up once it's finished being fashioned out of gold. And when the people of Yah look at that serpent, now remember, serpents do not always mean evil, because you're supposed to be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove, right? The wicked one, known as the dragon or that type of serpent, he is wise, but also he is the wicked one. There's a difference, right? But in this instance, Yahweh says, build up a serpent. Now, this is very interesting in many different directions, because the same thing that's offering you is now been modified or reverse engineered in such a way that is biting you and poisoning you, now you can look upon it, because it's been fashioned by Yah's hands or by his commands and not by the commandments of men, or not, so the thing that seems to be venomous, Yah can take it and fashion it. This all things work together for tabah, for righteousness. Would you say yes? Only those that were 20 years younger were allowed to cross over. Right. So here comes a situation that comes along. Now watch this. Later on, we'll see in John 3. We like to go straight to John 3:16, right? And everybody knows that verse. For Elohim so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. We really like that, and praise Yah for that scripture, etc. I'm sorry, give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. We'll go back over it in a second. Okay? All right. Excuse me, family. So where were we? Oh yeah. So we get to John 3:16. John 3:16, which we know for Elachem, so Achaba, Arak, or Yahaba, the world, his system that he gave his only begotten Son, right? That whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. Everybody's heard of that canon, even if it's not your canon. You probably heard of that scripture before, or that proverb, if you will, before, etc. Right? But go back 2 verses before when you get a chance next time, and you'll see that that's not that. First of all, go back to the beginning. You'll see this is when Nicodemus has come, and Nicodemus is told he must be born again, and Nicodemus is confused by this. And why should I be born again? How do a man go back into his mother's womb, be born again? And he says, you're supposed to be a master of Israel. You're supposed to be a master of the word. You don't even know what I'm talking about, right? We can't really have further conversation until you comprehend being born again. And in the midst of talking about being born again and talking about being learning and getting into the word and learning what the law actually is supposed to be, etc., we get this verse for Elohim so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. That's verse 16. But go back verse 14, and Yehoshua says, the same way that the serpent was lifted up in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, which means that this whole serpent, it represented Yehoshua. The same Yehoshua that we're supposed to look at to come back through the cloud, or in the cloud, right? The same way that we look at the shot or the bow in the cloud, the rainbow. The same way that when the ark was built, there was one window and it was facing up so we could look up. And here is Yehoshua showing officially that really the children of Israel weren't looking at the serpent, they were looking at him. And right, because he was the only true one. Any which shows us something about who we're sowing into. Now, I hope I'm making sense. I know I'm kind of all over the place. I know I'm trying to get myself together. I know I'm on the move. I know there's a lot of moving pieces, right? That means, can you turn it down a little bit? Or you can watch it loud if you want. You just got to move to another table. It's up to you. But if you're gonna be here, it needs to be turned down, please. If you need to turn it up, you can go somewhere else and turn it up. So, but what we need to see here, what's going on. Shalom. No. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't say you can't eat a drink. Just you got to keep it down. Okay, sorry. So when we're going through these items, sorry, where were we at? So Yehoshua is showing himself to be this serpent. And there are persons who even try to flip this. If you're not careful, they'll try to be like, well, see, the devil is the serpent. That means that Christ is the serpent. They were telling you this the whole time. Right? Context matters. But he's trying to tell you, see, watch this. If you look at it, then if he's the serpent, if he was the serpent the whole time, then what is this telling us? If he was the serpent the whole entire time, then this is telling us, yeah, it's not our culture, right? Then what that's telling us is that, well, if he was the serpent, but he was the golden serpent, and Moses had to lift him up, and as we lifted up, he draw the poison out, just like he'll draw all men, or he drew the venom out, right? He drew the venom out. If he can draw the venom out, then surely he can draw the men out. But also he draws the venom out. He's purifying us looking upon him and looking at his example. And by the way, gold even being what the children of Israel are represented inside of the the ephod and the stones that are inside. So we are inside of him, right? He is born out of us, but we are inside of him. Symbiotic relationship, this interdependent relationship that we talked about in times past, which is extremely important for us to gather and learn from and glean from. But don't miss this piece right here as well, because now here's the other part that we got to have conversation about. All right, here's the other part that we must have conversation about, that we got to keep it real about, that we got to keep it a buck about. If he's drawing, right, and he's the golden serpent, then what happened with all these other serpents? There's a part of your Bible. Somebody asked this question in a Q&A before, a recent one on Sunday, was it, or last Thursday, was it? It was last Thursday. And someone asked this question. Wow, time flies. Q&A was last Thursday, or was it Sunday? I got to double check. We might have another Q&A coming up, and I'm not ready for it. But no, I'm sorry. Anyways, so what's up with these other serpents? It was Sunday. Okay, thank you. So what happens with these other serpents? Because somebody asked this question. Well, what about when it says he'll give you over to a strong delusion? Right? If he gives me over to a strong delusion, what does that mean? Well, look, you want to worship whoever you want to worship. You want to come outside your culture. You want to believe it through other people's prisms. You don't want to learn my name. You don't want to be honest about who I am. You don't want to do what I'm telling my servant to do. You don't want to follow instructions. Right? It was Sunday. Yeah. Amen. I'm with you. So if you guys don't want to do that, he says, I'll send you a strong delusion. Right? I'll go ahead and give you what you want. You want to go ahead and do that? I'll send you a strong delusion. You think that these serpents, right, or you think following somebody else outside of me is going to get it done, not realizing this is actually venomous. So I'll go ahead and send you what you want. Right? You ever had to talk to your child? Your child be saying this, that, or whatever. You're like, oh, okay, you think it's like, go ahead. And then they got to hurt themselves, or they got to be sitting there without you, right? You don't let them go to where they like hurt themselves, and it's really terrible. But you say, okay, you need to go out there and you need to experience it, and you need to tell daddy's wrong, and you need to tell mama she's wrong, and isn't that okay? You go out there, you do, but then you'll see that these are venomous things. And when they're venomous and they start to hurt you and they start to be inside you, then you say, okay, I sent you that strong delusion. You're already of the mind that whatever I'm saying, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. It's not what Yah wants. So I'll go ahead and let you be in that realm of thought. But now that you finished over there, right? Now, how do we get you out of it? Well, I'm going to show you that you were under the delusion that even though they seem to be what I am, they're not. Or in other words, I sent you these snakes. Everybody swears that they're the snake you should listen to. Everybody swears that they're the snake that's going to help you. Everybody swears that they're the snake, they're the wisdom, they're the wise serpent, if you will, that's going to be able to bless you. But all they do is they bite you and they poison you, right? And for many of us, because we've been through this system, because of what's been sown into us and what we've harvested out of these poisonous places, these poisonous mindsets, these poisonous canons, these poisonous viewpoints, we have had a really tough time in remaining in Yahweh's will and being what he calls us to be. So due to this fact, it's been really difficult for us to hear anything about the word. A lot of us gave up on the word. A lot of you have, even your testimony with me has been, hey, Pastor Kofi, you better keep it together, because if you don't keep it together, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I was pretty much done before I found y'all, and if y'all gonna act up, I think this is it. right? Like, and so I get what you mean by that, right? But what you're saying is I've seen many different things. I've had many different things that swear that they are true, that swear that they are wisdom, that swear that they are not deceiving, right? That swear that they are righteous and right lawful standing. And then all of a sudden, I saw what was going on, and I recognized and realized very quickly that it's not what it really is meant to be, right? So then now I'm saying, well, look at wisdom again, and somebody's saying, well, I've already tried. They've all bitten me. They're all venomous, right? But you need to look at this version of the serpent, right? You know, the devil can change himself into an angel of light. So can his apostles. So as you're looking at these things that are going on, you need to recognize and realize what's happening. You know, what Yah is really doing and what's going on. And it's very difficult because there's so many, as Yehoshua told us in Matthew 24, many are coming and saying they're coming in his name. Give me a second, I'm sorry.
You haven't used my book yet. No, you haven't used
So many are coming and many are called. Right? Many are called and they're coming according to the name of Yahweh, and they're coming to do all these things. And many are saying that they are in the will of the Most High. Many of them are saying that they are righteous. Many of them are saying that they are the Christ. And many of them have bitten us. And we allowed them to. We thought that we were being zealous. and we were poisoned. And now the only way you're going to suck some of this venom, only way you're going to suck some of this venom out of your wound, I was going to say womb, maybe out of your womb too, depending on what you've been breathing since. But the only thing you're going to be able to, the only thing that's going to help you to get this out of your wound, help you to get out of this as far as your wounds are concerned in this venom, is you're going to have to become, what's the word I'm looking for? You're going to have to, well, basically, you're going to have to look upon the correct serpent. And even just gazing upon him, it begins to suck the poison out, right? There's been some stuff you've invested time, effort, energy into, and it's venomous. And you're going to have to attach yourself to Christ and look at, matter of fact, some of you might need to become, even though you're not Christ, but hopefully you get the context, you're going to have to become a golden serpent in a sense, if you will, because somebody needs to look at something to help them to have some of this poison drawn out, right? And you are a snake yourself, but unlike other snakes, you don't put venom in, you take venom out, right? The difference between the snakes that come up from through the world and the snakes that are with us is that they put venom in, we take venom out, right? Those who follow the dragon, which that's that serpent, that snake, that dragon, right? That's different. That's people that are into the beast, but they insert venom in, but we take venom out. In Yahashua, who is the way, truth, and life. So when you're looking at him and you see this, he's basically telling you that what they looked upon in the wilderness was him, or obviously a reflection of him, or obviously even a picture of what was to come concerning him. Right? Like we can see very clearly. How you doing, Joy Boy? We can see very clearly that we need to have something to look upon. So now, when we're talking about the seed time and harvest, what is it that you've been sowing as far as your example? The Bible even uses another word besides example. It actually uses the word ensample, right? Literally, ensample. People should take a sample of you. Sorry, family. Hopefully you can see me. So what is the ensample? What is the ensample that you've been given? What is a sample of things? When persons taste and see that Yahweh is in fact Tabah through your life, what is that going to taste like to them? Right? Right. Somebody's supposed to be able to look at your life and have the venom taken out. Right? Somebody's supposed to be able to look at your life and be like, your life is such an example for me that the venom is taken out. Like that's what our lives are supposed to be. Our presence is supposed to be calming, not an irritant. Right? Our presence is supposed to be one that causes nation building, not nations to collapse. Right? When you show up, your presence sows. Your family must work because your presence shows. Right? Like you got to make sure you get this husband and wife thing together right from the jump. Right? If you haven't, I'm talking about from now on. I can't control what happened in the past. You can't control what happened in the past. But from this moment on, we have to have this stuff like taken care of from the jump. Why? Because there are persons that are that their whole mindset concerning relationship is going to be based upon what you show them. You see what I'm saying? Like there's going to be persons that their whole way of their whole mindset of marriage, their whole mindset of man, their whole mindset of woman, their whole mindset of honesty, of dominion, of power, of multiplying, of seed, of righteousness, of right lawful standing, etc. They're coming straight from us. And there's some persons who will never see anything outside of what you showed. You've been called to show. like sometimes we're so worried about ensuring that everybody else is catching on, and somebody else will show them, and somebody says, how am I going to learn this? And we say, oh well, somebody will show you, or somebody will give you this, or somebody will show you this. Time out. No. It's not that somebody else will show you this. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's not that somebody else will show you this. You ready? It's not that somebody else is going to show them this. You're the example. Part of the problem is that everybody goes everywhere else to look for stuff, and then you say, well, what about my diaspora, my culture, this and that, or whatever. But it's not about everybody else's diaspora, culture, etc. Like, you are the diaspora, you are the culture. Yeah, you got to be one of them ones. That whole, what is that lyric? Everybody want to be demon till they get chipped by the throwaway, or whatever, right? Everybody want to be royalty until it's like you got to put the royalty on your shoulders. The only reason you're royalty is because you're the foundation of a nation. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of cats out there, they talk like that, but you gotta really realize everybody the king, everybody the queen. But then it's like, okay, well, what about your nation? Where's your land? Where's your food? Where's your growth? Where's your health? Where's your right? Everybody's the king of the castle. Then it's like, well, okay, then is your wife taken care of? Are the bills taken care of? Does she feel like she's secure and she gets affection? Everybody got lines for all this stuff until it's time to show it. Everybody want to be demon till they get chipped by a throwaway. You know what I'm saying? Everybody demon. Everybody the baddest. Everybody can't nobody handle them. This the baddest bee. I'm the this. I'm the that. Everybody until it's like, okay, fine, show me. Where's your life at? Where's your heart at? Where's your peace at? Where's your serenity at? And a lot of persons can't show that. Everybody wants to be respected until you look at them, you say, okay, well, what are you doing to show that you deserve respect? Nobody wants to talk about the other side. So the sowing part, whatever you sow, you shall reap. And what is it? Genesis 8:22 tells us specifically that as long as the shot, the bow is on the cloud, there will always be seed time, there will always be harvest. And we didn't finish this thought up earlier, right? It keeps buffering. Okay, I'm sorry. Where I am, I can't really help but so much. It says that it's okay where I am, but I can't really change it. As you can see, I'm on location, and location has changed a few times within the location. So, but I won't hold you guys too much longer. I just got to finish one thought. Asada, she's like, hey, make sure we go back to beginning and finish up something that I didn't finish earlier, which is, if the rainbow's up there, right, that's because the promise is supposed to be it's not going to come down. And the rain that comes down is not coming down to destroy, right? As long as it says, so from this point on, Yahweh said, if you recall earlier, as long as this rainbow's up, basically, there will be seed time and harvest, and cold, and heat, and summer, and winter, and day and night, and they what? And they shall not cease, right? And they shall not cease. They shall not cease. So that means that when rain comes down, then when stuff rains on you, when stuff rains down upon you, when stuff is raining down in your situation, in your circle, etc., when things rain down. Now watch this now. Then that means that the rain is never coming to destroy. Right? Did you catch that? It's final point for today. And then I'll be out your way, because obviously I'm not in the greatest places to do what we normally do on a regular basis, right? But just catch this: if it's kwashat, if it's a kwashat avanavan, right? So we're dealing with kwashat avanavan. Yahweh Asar said that there will never be a time when the rain comes and destroys, and there will always be seed time and harvest, which means that the rain is not coming to destroy. And there will always be seed time and harvest. Did you catch it? That means that the seed time and harvest is tied to the rain. Right? Sometimes, once again, we can be so mystical with stuff we're not practical. Let's make stuff practical, right? Regardless of whether you believe 100% of what I'm saying, or you believe it to be allegorical, whatever the case might be, right? Like, if you're going to talk about the rain and the shot out of Hanavan, right? The seed, the bow in the cloud, or what we call the rainbow. The symbol is supposed to represent then that as long as it's every time it rains, don't look at it as far as, oh, it's going to flood. Up, I'm going to be afraid. Every time it rains, you need to start looking at where the seed at, and you need to start getting ready for the harvest. When it gets wet outside and it starts to rain, you need to start salivating and let it get wet in the corners of your mouth and start realizing, oh, something's coming. I need to be ready to harvest something. I've sown so much seed, it's been dry. Right? Remember, in Canaan, anytime that it didn't rain, it was because of what? Disbelief or disobedience. So flip that thing. If it's not dry and it's about to rain, it's not going to flood and tear everything up. And cold is going to remain, and heat is going to remain, and summer is going to remain, and winter is going to remain, and day is going to remain, and night's going to remain. Also, seed time and harvest. You catching it now, right? So the seed time and harvest. So whenever it rains, I need to pay attention to where the seed is, or when I sow seed, I need to sow seed realizing that it's going to rain. Catching it? Even if you're taking what I'm saying to be just pure allegory, don't miss that point. It's poignant, right? Like, as long as it is going to rain, that means it's going to be harvest. And that means when I'm planting seed, even when it's the driest of days, still keep planting the seed, knowing that it's got to wet up at some point. There has to be some kind of moisture at some point. There has to be some kind of development of soil at some point. You develop the soil even to make sure that the soil is ready for the rain. The soil is not just developed just for the seed, right? Those of you who farm and stuff, you know what I'm saying? You don't just develop your soil for the seed. You develop your soil so that when it rains, the seed and the soil can have better relationship. Some of you who've, and forgive me, I don't know the exact terms, but some of you who planted stuff in your gardens, right? You know that there's a type of soil that if you put it in the pot, I forget what it is. There's topsoil, and then there's like garden soil, and there's this soil, there's that. Please forgive me. I know it when I see it. Please forgive me. I have to read the bags carefully because I'll be messing up the words. However, there's a type of soil that you get to where you're not supposed to put it in the pot, right? Because if you put it in the pot, it's actually soil that's supposed to be designed to bunch up together really tough. So if you get the soil that just bunches up and you put it in the pot, water can't really penetrate it. And what will happen too is any holes, even if you drill holes or do whatever in your pot, you'll discover that the soil will actually like pack up together. And when it packs up, it will pack up in the holes. So now the water can't even escape. So now you'll have it to where sometimes the root of the plant, right? The root of the fruit is actually like having an issue, and it can't go deep down, and it can't, like it'll even drown. Yes, plants can actually drown, believe it or not. Not all plants want to have water all the time, right? Plants are like you, right? So that's why it's a kind of flood, but it's underground. So you get certain types of soil to where the soil is aerated and the water can travel through. You see? So if you're not careful, you can actually buy the wrong soil. And even though you get a righteous seed for fruit, the fruit never develops because the root can't do what it's supposed to. And the root has a tough time because the soil packs up so much that the root just starts hitting the soil. It's like hitting the brick wall rather than having like a proper thing for proper aeration. You see? So when you can have the proper aeration and the soil can actually be what it's supposed to, and you can have the garden soil rather than the soil that a lot of persons might accidentally get because it's cheaper. You'll run to the store and you get the cheaper store because you're like, okay, I'm going to sow and I can't wait to sow this and this and this. But man, I don't want to get this bag of soil. That's like $30. I don't want this bag. But that $30 soil is designed so that you can get a lot more out of it rather than just get soil. See, some of the soil that you're getting, that should just be thrown out to be on the ground. So whenever so a lot of persons don't even think about when I'm putting stuff together in the pot, am I putting stuff together where it can even handle the rain? Right? Can you stand the rain? Right? But you don't put your pot together to where it actually can handle rain. So your pot is jacked up. Your pot is messed up, right? Your seed is going to be messed up. You're right. You won't even get to the point of shoots, let alone um, leaves and flowers, and then budding, so that you can even get to a point where you have fruit. You're gonna miss all that, right? You have to make sure that it even is sown in a way in which the seed can even be harvested. The seed has to be given the right soil, even to go through the right process to ensure that it can be harvested correctly. You see, so when you're planting something, you got to be careful about that. So seed time and harvest will always be there, right? And you've heard from a lot of persons, you've had a lot of seed, but they didn't develop soil. I'm just trying to tell you, like, now I take great delight in saying this. It used to be a time where I was kind of shy from saying this, but it is what it is. We should be saying this about ourselves. If not, we shouldn't be in the position that we're in, nor should we be teaching how we're teaching, growing how we're growing, cause the community to be what we're supposed to be. I take great joy in being able to say that we help to develop soil. Now, I can't change the soil for you, because soil ultimately is your heart. You got to do that. But we give tips to make sure that you know what kind of soil to put up in there, right? And we have to make sure that we're teaching the process of allowing, because seed time, for a lot of persons, you think that it's just as simple as putting seed in the ground. But if the seed's not in the ground properly, there is no chance for the gestational period, and for the roots, and for the shoots, and for the sprouting, and for the leaves, and for the petals, and for the blooming, and for the fruit, and for the seed. And then even when the fruit grows, it still has to develop. And one thing that I can say that we do here is that we definitely give chance for things to develop properly. So let us keep doing that with seed time and harvest. I do apologize for it taking us so long to kind of get going on the live session. It is what it is, but prayerfully you got something out of it. I'm sorry I was so late. If I were to tell you all the stuff that happened in the around hour and a half that it took for me to come back on in front of you guys, y'all might not even believe all the stuff we had to go through. But we made it. We were faithful, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. Um, we're asking for everybody to be part of a SOC super regional meeting, basically a SOC community meeting, if you will, on Zoom tonight. So we'll be on Zoom tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern New York time. We'll do the live session at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. And then we will have a meeting for everybody for Feast of Tabernacles at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time on Saturday. Tonight also, ministerial staff, we're going to be on from at 6. We're going to try to be on at 6 p.m. Eastern New York time instead of our normal 6:30 p.m. Eastern New York time. That's just for ministerial staff. Everybody else, if you're coming, come to the live session at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. And then if you can make the Zoom session at 9 p.m. Eastern New York time, we'll send a Google Calendar invite out for everybody for that. And yeah, I think that's about it. So we thank you guys. We appreciate you. We honor you. We're thankful and grateful to have you on with us. Thank you for hanging in there. And we're grateful. We appreciate it, or appreciate love. Once again, if somebody can send me that thing on what appreciate, I guess, means now, from the I haven't been able to find it from what some of the Rastafari are saying, and we'll see what we can do with that too, and so I can learn. But yeah, we thank you. We appreciate you guys. Men's meeting coming up. This is and today is the 1st. So First Friday is tomorrow. If you're able to bless somebody in your community or bless somebody, be a blessing to somebody for Community Day. You don't have to tell us what you do. Just be a blessing to somebody if you can. And then Saturday, it'll be men's meeting first Saturday of the month. So thank you all. We appreciate you. We honor you. You guys take care. Parents, look out, and also look out even on the Shabbat School Google Calendar invite. But I'll try to also post it in different places and put it and try to send it to the parents, the list that we'll have for VBS. And I think by the end of the day, prayerfully, if not, we still got tomorrow and Saturday, but I'm trying to make sure that you guys prayerfully have everything by Friday, if not Saturday, if it takes an extra day. So prayerfully, every last order that we've received so far, prayerfully, every last order will be done by tonight. Y'all saw me working on them for the first half. So prayerfully, you guys won't have to worry about that. You should see your stuff in the mail, FedEx, either tomorrow or Saturday. And some of you we might even have a little surprise for you as well. So just look out for that stuff. And some of you who've been waiting on some stuff from me for a long time, like Bibles and stuff like that, or even the stuff for the babies who have been dedicated and some other stuff, you should be seeing some paperwork and things coming your way soon too. Okay. Thank you all. We appreciate you. Thank you, Sister Mignon. So we'll send out that message. If you can be on 9 p.m. Eastern New York time right after the live session, we appreciate you doing so. And SOC University folk, I couldn't do Wednesday night. I couldn't do Wednesday, just a lot of stuff that was going on. So I couldn't do our live session that we were supposed to do to continue the teaching we've been doing for our Hebrew characters and learning the words. It is my goal, I'm not saying it will happen, but it is my goal to try and do that tomorrow. So I'm going to try and do that tomorrow around 7 p.m. Eastern New York time. If I can, if you can join us on Zoom or join us for the recording, either way. So thank y'all. Appreciate you. We honor you. Take care. And if all goes well, as long as, as far as what we'd like to see, we'll see you guys tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern New York time. Take care. Appreciate love. Shalom. Peace, everybody. Thank you for your patience. And as always, remember that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, in you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Peace.